Hey, it's Grady at Twin Creek Audio back in the studio today. Got another mixing video. Today I've got Homespun Centaurs Silver and Gold from Homespun Centaurs' self-titled debut album. I've got the song up on the console. Today I'm going to do a hybrid mix. This is fully hybrid. I'm doing some stuff in the box, and then I'm of course sending all of the things in the box out through the console and all of the analog equipment here in the studio. So to get started, I'm going to show you what I've got going on in the box, and then we'll come out here to the console and I'll show you what I've got going on in the analog domain on the console and with the outboard gear. So I've got the song Silver and Gold from Homespun Centaurs' debut album here in the DAW. Now this is Reaper is what I use, and this is the House of the White Tie Imperial theme that you're looking at here. It's a really cool looking theme. I like it. I've got a really big monitor, 1080 resolution, so it works great for me. So let's go through what I'm doing in the box. I've got the SoftTube Tape plugin on the kick drum, set to the B setting, and I've got the amount set to 4. I'm pretty sure it's the same thing on the snare drum. Yes, exact same thing on the snare drum. Not doing anything to the hi-hat. Now it is panned here because the hi-hat and the overhead mic are sent to one stereo pair that goes out to the console. Then on the toms I have gates. I'm using just the ReaGate built into Reaper here. So just to gate those toms because they had some really nasty sounding cymbal bleed in them from when this was recorded. This album was recorded in the old studio back when Heath and I first started this string of albums that we worked on together over the last 7 years. So this album was recorded in a duplex in a large wooden room. That's where the drums were recorded. It was a pretty good sounding room, but there was some strange reflections here and there, so these toms are gated with ReaGate. On the tom bus here, see, these are all these toms, they're gated, and then they're being sent to a bus. So all 3 toms are panned here in stereo, and they're being sent to this tom bus, and I have the SoftTube Tape plugin on the tom bus. We'll move down, and we don't have really anything going on the overhead or the room mic in the box. Nothing on the hi-hat either. These are just being grouped. The hi-hat and the overhead mic, which this was a single mono overhead mic, and then the hi-hat was the PVM 480 that I still use to this day on hi-hat. And so I'm just blending those together into a stereo output that goes to the console. Then this is the room mic, nothing there. Bass guitar, I have the Slate virtual mix rack on that, and I'm not doing anything to it other than I have a virtual channel set to this one. That's all that's on the bass in the box. Just a little bit of that virtual channel, Slate virtual channel. The acoustic guitars, now these are all 3 being sent out individual outputs on the audio interface to the console. Check out a couple of my other videos, the last one I did on the tape machine DAW video, and the other one on routing things for mixing out of the box or mixing in the analog domain. But these are not being submixed, these are being sent to individual outputs, but I have a little bit of EQ on each of these, basically just removing some strange funky frequencies here. I think all 3 of this have a little bit, there's slightly different frequency, but I've EQ'd those 3 acoustic guitar tracks here in the box. Then we've got piano, nothing being done in the box to piano. This is a stereo guitar. This is something that was printed using some kind of a modeling plugin. Make sure that's in the center. And that's being sent to a stereo output on the audio interface and then into the console. Then some other things here on the toy piano. We have the Slate virtual tape machine set to 1/2" 2-track at 30 inches per second with the FG456 tape type. On the toy piano, which that's a mono, it's just a mic'd toy piano, it's a mono signal. Then I've got organ here, make sure that's in the center as well. Virtual tape machine on the organ, same settings as what I used on the toy piano. So that's pretty much it. That's all of the cool stuff we're doing in the box. And then as you can see, each of these is being sent out of an individual output on the audio interface and through the Soundcraft Sapphyre recording console for me to actually mix it. So I'm here at the console now to show the analog side of this hybrid mix that I'm doing of Silver and Gold by Homespun Centaurs. As you will have noticed in the box, I'm not actually doing all that much. And I did want to go over one thing really quick. The reason that I'm EQing the acoustic guitars in the box instead of on the console with the console EQ is because I'm able to be more precise with the EQ in the box. So this song has a lot of different tracks, and so I've got, just like I showed during the screen capture portion, I've got all those things coming out to individual channels on the console, starting with kick, then snare, then toms, which was that tom bus that I'm set out here to these two channels, so they're panned hard left and right because it's a stereo pair. This next stereo pair here that's panned hard left and right are the overhead mic and hi-hat combination. Then this is the mono room mic, bass guitar. This is the 3 acoustic guitar mics right here. Then we've got some more guitars, a piano, and then way down here, hopefully you can see that, I've got the camera lens angle set as wide as I can get it so you can see everything on the console. We've got a mandolin, and then a toy piano, some vocals, and an organ. Or the organ's over here. Wait a second. It's a go. So this is an organ. This is piano, then mandolin, toy piano, vocals, organ, more vocals. So we've got a lot of things in this mix. I'm not going to go into detail on everything that I'm doing, but I just want you to hear what the results are with this setup that I've got in the box and here on the console. So far in this mix, the only compression that I'm really using is on the bass guitar, and of course I'm using the Urei LA-10 compressor. I just love that thing on bass guitar. If I had 2 of them, I'd probably use one on the kick drum a lot too, or even on a vocal, but I only have one, so it just seems to really do something nice to the bass, and it keeps the low end of the bass guitar right where you want it in the mix. I don't have to use a multi-band compressor in the box or 2 compressors in series to achieve that. I just use the Urei LA-10 on the bass guitar. This song was recorded in a big room with a wood floor with the drum kit on a rug, and I think it has a really good organic sound. So let's hear the drums by themselves, and then I'm going to solo up different parts of the drum kit. Okay, the toms, I'm soloing the toms. There's nothing there because they're gated in the box. Duh. As far as sweetening anything on the console, I mean, you saw everything I was doing in the box. There's really not anything going on. These EQs are straight up and down, except the room mic, and I'm pulling out a little bit of low mids out of that room mic. These, I don't even know why that's on. These don't need to be on. They're in the center. Oops. Yeah, see, these are all straight up and down. The toms, I'm also boosting some low mids. That's it. The snare, looks like I'm boosting a little bit of low mids here on the snare. On the kick drum, I'm boosting a little bit of high mids and a little bit of lows. Now, there's no compression on these drums. This is just the way they're recorded. It's actually a really simple mic setup too. Really similar to the ones that I've shown in some of my videos here. I don't have a lot of mics. I don't have a lot of space. And in this case, I had a bigger room than I have now, but the room I have now is more controlled than this was. I can't remember. I think we had a mattress against the windows at one point to kind of isolate the rooms back over there. Now, just because I want to, I'm going to solo up the bass guitar with that Urei LA-10 compressor on it. There's really not any EQ moves going on that other than a slight low mid cut. That's it. Let's move on to these acoustic guitars, and I could not tell you exactly what the setup was on these. I know I've got 3 tracks and they were 3 different mics, and Heath likes to do the over-the-shoulder mic position. This could be like an XY stereo pair, but I know I have one that was center and then one that's marked left and right in the box, so that's how we have those panned here. And let's hear what that sounds like with that little bit of EQ that I showed you in the box. So the acoustic guitars with that little bit of EQ in the box, they sound pretty good. It's unusual that this center mic is actually the thinner sounding of them, but it seems to be working okay, so I'm not going to complain about that. Not noticing any serious phase issues or anything with the 3 mics, not with them panned this way, so I think we're good there. There's this beautiful sounding stereo electric guitar right here. It's got some reverb on it, and I'm not really sure what this was done with. I'd have to ask Keith, but we've got this nice sounding stereo electric guitar here, and so let's listen to that by itself too. See, most of the sounds are really good. I captured good sounds at the source, and Heath did when we were making this project, even though, you know, I didn't have all the stuff that I have now when we were recording this. But we just were smart about how we did it. We had a reasonably good sounding room and a good sounding drum kit, and in this case we got some great tones. I don't hear any problems with this electric guitar, and I'm not really hearing any major problems with any of the sounds in this mix so far. So there's a lot of different stuff going on in this mix, a lot of different instrumentation and different vocals. So I'm going to move on now to the things that I'm hearing that are causing problems. The first thing I'm hearing is the toms sound really good. They sound very organic, but they don't sustain long enough. The decay of those toms is not quite long enough, and the attack maybe a little bit just doesn't sound as good. So even with the tape plug-in on the toms in the box, those toms are not sitting exactly the way that I'd like them to. The top end is a little too brash, and the decay and the sustain is not quite long enough. So the way I really like to fix that normally, since I'm a hardware guy, is I like to use a compressor with a fast release to kind of lengthen the decay of those toms, and I can tune the attack to kind of make the attack sound the way that I want it to. So I'm not compressing to control the level so much as I'm shaping the tone and the sound. So I'm going to find a compressor to patch in on the inserts of these toms right here. These toms. What am I going to patch in over there, guys? I'm not sure. I've forgotten. What could I possibly patch in to the ART maybe? Insert send, insert return. Now I've patched in the ART dual limiter to these 2 tom channels here. So make sure that these are on, because the Sapphyre has switches that enable and disable the insert. So that's on. I've still got my slight low mid boost, and that could be part of the problem, but I don't think so. So let's run these toms through this ART dual limiter and see if we can get them to have a little bit longer decay and a little bit less of a harsh attack.
Shining stars out of sight, counting headlights in the night. Oh yeah. It took 2 hours to unwind, driving through the silken pines. I know it's a heavy load. just like a breeze pass by. As we head on down the road, just forget what you've been told. Sky is silver, trees are gold.
Let's get some compression on some of these vocal tracks. I'm going to use the ART TCS twin compressor system. I've got the ART TCS twin compressor system. I connected just the left side of that to the lead vocal track right there. Let's check that out.
Hey, don't disappear as we head on down the road.
That thing sounds great on vocals. I love it. The snare sounds really good, but now I can turn it down in the mix just a little bit. I don't think I'm going to do anything much to the kick drum. I kind of like the way it sounds. Doesn't need a lot of compression. The snare needed a little bit. I'm just doing maybe 4 to 6 dB of compression with the Symetrix 501 on the snare drum.
Just forget what you've been told. The sky is silver, trees are gold.
Sounds really good now. I don't want to go compressing everything in the mix because I'm going to lose some of the detail and lose some of the organic nature of the song. So it's a little bit odd, but I think that's all I'm going to do. I do have some compression in some very specific places like bass guitar and the vocal tracks, but not on much of anything else. In fact, even the kick drum, there's no compression on the kick and no parallel compression on really anything. These faders up here I'm not using right now. Those are actually channel faders. That's because we're working on a new Homespun Centaurs album and we've been tracking some drums, so these faders up here don't have anything to do with this mix. They're not being used for parallel compression today like I do sometimes. But overall, I think this sounds really good as it is, so I don't really want to do too much and I don't want to mess it up anymore. I've got a really good sounding organic mix that still sounds very professional and big and wide and has a lot of depth and a lot of character, and I don't want to screw that up by overworking it. I'm going to finish this section of the video now. Okay. Let's get this mix.
Finding stars out of sight, counting headlights in the night. Oh yeah. It took 2 hours to unwind, driving through these silken pines. I know it's a heavy load as we head on down the road. Just forget what you've been told. Sky is silver, trees are gold. Only cold on my soul. No one told me it's all silver and gold. The sun it shines through the trees, memories just like a breeze pass by. The radio is playing songs, and I'm not sure what road we're on, but it's clear that it's right here as we head on down the road. Just forget what you've been sold. Clouds are silver, trees are gold. Only cold of sight, counting headlights in the night. Oh yeah. Took 2 hours to unwind, driving through the silky pines. It's hey, don't disappear as we head on down the road. Just forget what you've been told. The sky is silver, trees are gold. Only call for my soul. No one told me it's all silver and gold.
It's such a good song. All of the cool different kinds of organic sounding sounds in that, with the toy piano and the mandolin especially, is just so cool. Not like anything else that I've ever really done before. I really was proud of this album when we finished it, and I think this mix here on the analog board, using a few things in the box and the console and some outboard gear, sounds really good. The room sound on the mic is on the drums is fantastic. That was actually a pretty good sounding room. Some things to note about this mix: there is no artificial reverb on this, not even on the vocals. I didn't put any reverb on it. These stereo faders where my reverb returns are usually connected are all the way down. There was no reverb on vocals, pianos, anything. This guitar had some reverb printed, so there is a little bit of ambience on this, but there was no artificial reverb, just the room sound on the drums, and it just sounds really cool, really natural and organic. I made another video about natural organic style mixing, so if you missed that, it's here on the channel. Check out that video. Try to remember to put links to all these different cool videos I've done. But I do a lot of different things in different videos and try to remember other videos I've done that might relate to the video I'm doing. And I try to do that. I don't always get it exactly right, but always go back on the channel and check the older videos for things, because a lot of the things I've done in older videos may tie into newer videos that I'm working on. So that was the song Silver and Gold from Homespun Centaurs' debut album, mixed hybrid, with some stuff done in the box and some things done in the analog domain on the console and with analog outboard gear. Remember, you can check out the original mix of this song on Homespun Centaurs' debut album. I'll put links to that song in the video description. Let me know what you think in the comments of this video. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Twin Creek Audio YouTube channel if you have not done so already. And as usual, I hope that you all have a wonderful and excellent day, night, evening, weekend, weekday, hour, minute, second, nanosecond. Whatever it is you're having, have a good one. Thanks so much for watching.